Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are just delighted to come to this presentation of what is going to be a most extraordinary travel experience. My name is Ben Bernstein. I am the founder and artistic director of the Singers Gym. The Singers Gym has been in existence for 27 years. We're a nonprofit that focuses on and has a mission as fostering the joy of singing in everyone. And for these 27 years, we have forged a close relationship with the Maryland Opera Program and also with the San Francisco Opera to work with singers to really bring opera alive. And so we have fashioned together an absolutely wonderful experience with our terrific travel advisor, which we're going to tell you all about. So please settle in for a very, very illuminating, wonderful description of what's going to happen on this trip. So the first person I'd like to introduce is Jean Kellogg. Jean is the former executive director of the Maryland Opera Program. Jean, welcome.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate being here so much, and very excited to be a part of this wonderful adventure down the Danube. As many of you know, Maryland Opera Program is one of the premier opera training programs in the world, and we have been in existence now for 66 years. And one of the reasons it is so phenomenal happens to be because of two people who are on the panel with me today, Sherry Greenewald and Mark Morash. During the time that Sherry and Mark were at Maryla, working with Maryla, they also brought in the Singers Gym to work with the Adler Fellows at San Francisco Opera to really help them bring out the meaning of their arias and their roles that they were preparing. So from that, I just want to introduce both Sherry Greenewald and Mark Morash.
Hello.
Hello to everybody. Hi there. We're excited to be getting the band back together.
Yes, the band is back together. Well, it is such a joy because I'm living in Cincinnati now, and I do give a few lessons in person, but mostly I'm online all the time. And it's going to be exciting just to even see Mark in person, to see Jean in person, and to make music live. That's what's going to be exciting for me again, I can tell you.
We are just so happy to all be here together. It's really a great reunion for all of us to be working together, because what we're going to be offering on this extraordinary trip is the opportunity for all of the guests, all of the people on board with us, to actually observe how opera is made. This is why we're calling it Opera Lovers, a peek behind the curtain. You're going to be able to see how opera is really put together. So to kick all of this off, I want to welcome our extraordinary travel advisor, Sandy Lipkowitz of We Make Travel Easy. And Sandy has put together this really wonderful itinerary during which all of this program is going to take place. Sandy, welcome.
Thank you, Ben. I'm so excited to be here. It's just so exciting. I mean, the amazing talent and the amazing program that you and Sherry and Jean and Mark have all put together. It's like, this is going to be the opera party of the decade, if not the century. What can I say? It's going to be really fabulous. So let's take a look at exactly what you're going to get to see and experience on this amazing, amazing trip through some of the most iconic opera houses in Europe, and just experience just a fabulous time with so many other people who love and enjoy opera. So I'm going to take a moment to share my screen, and we'll go through the itinerary day by day. This is me, and I am the owner of We Make Travel Easy, and I love to say that the most extraordinary travel moments often happen when you least expect it, and we are going to have many, many extraordinary moments on this trip. For those of you that don't know me, I just wanted to show you that we are an award-winning travel aid company. I have been on the Condé Nast Top Travel Specialist list for 3 going into 4 years in a row. We are Forbes recognized. I'm in the top 25% of travel advisors nationwide. So we're Virtuoso, we belong to ASTA. So you are in very good hands on this trip. And you've met our VIPs. I mean, Ben Bernstein, Jean Kellogg, Sherry Greenewald, Mark Marsh. You are going to get to travel up close and personal with them. I mean, people don't have that kind of experience. This is really fabulous. So let's take a look at what this is going to happen on this trip. All right, day one, you're going to arrive in Budapest, Hungary, and you're going to check into the fabulous Four Seasons Gresham Palace Hotel. It's one of my favorite hotels in the world. It's just lovely and warm and cozy. And in the evening, we will have a cocktail reception. You will be able to meet everyone, the singers that'll be with us, Sherry, Mark, Ben, Jean, and your other travel companions. So it'll be a lovely, lovely evening. The next morning, I don't know if some of you know, but Budapest, the city is divided by the Danube, and you can see our lovely ship sailing through there. And the Buda side is the hilly side where you see the couple in the lower right, and they are looking down to the Pest side, which is the flat side. So we'll have a city tour and you'll get oriented, and it'll be a wonderful morning. We'll come back, we'll take a break. You can be lunch on your own. And then we're going to have our very first opera program. So Ben, tell us what's going to happen that afternoon.
Absolutely. So our program, Opera Lovers Peek Behind the Curtain, is divided into 4 segments, and those are going to go on 4 of the days of the trip. The very first segment, we actually dive into what the singers will be actually singing. So we look at very carefully at the score, and everyone's going to be able to really appreciate what the composer said. Actually, I'm going to turn this over to Mark, my compatriot in fabulous coaching. And Mark, please tell us about the first program.
Well, what I was going to say is I adore the metaphor of the title of the Singer's Gym. It's such a wonderful thing about singers working out their craft. And the place that you really have to begin that, I think you said the word foundation, Ben, and that really is what the score is. I mean, the score is the artifact, the notes that the composer wrote down, the music that the composer wrote, and this is how it gets passed down through the generations, is through the score. So whatever the singers are going to perform on the cruise, we're going to take that score and we're going to look at all of the indications. We're going to look at the actual notes that will be being performed, and the singers obviously will know their notes, but sometimes they might miss details of what's the dynamic, or how long is this phrase marking, and does that make an indication of how fast or slow we might be singing this? What does the composer write? What doesn't he write? All these things, we take a close examination of what the composer has given for us and what the singer is already doing with that information. And with that close study of it, it's giving the artists, the singers, permission to move on to the next step in the development as we work through this series of classes.
Yes, and all of you will have the experience of really digging into what did the composer intend. You know, if you're sitting in an audience of an opera house, you get the final product, but we're going to take you from the very beginning of how this is all built. And that's a very, very exciting process. So Sandy, we're ready to sail on.
All right, so you've had this wonderful program in the afternoon, and then that night, we're going to see a performance at the Budapest Opera House, the Hungarian State Opera. The Opera House is a kind of miniature of the Vienna Opera House, and it is just stunning. So that's going to be a very, very exciting day and evening. You'll have had this little introduction to how the singers begin, and then you will see the professionals on stage. So that's just amazing. The next morning, what you're going to do is we're going to be checking out of the hotel. So you will have breakfast, you will leave your bags outside the room, and then we're going to go back to the opera house and actually have a tour of the opera house. So it's going to be a behind the scenes and understand how it goes and look at it and just really enjoy the magnificence of that space. And we'll also visit the Liszt Museum. So it's going to be a musical, wonderful morning. Then you'll end up at the Great Market Hall. Lunch is on your own, but the Great Market Hall is a fabulous food market. And people have heard about Hungary and paprika. You will see paprika in every shape, form, size you can possibly imagine. So it's going to be a great place to take some gifts home for people that you might, and it'll be just a wonderful experience. And then from the market hall, it's an easy stroll over to our fabulous ship, the AmaViola, and we will embark that afternoon onto the ship. The next morning, we're still going to be in Budapest, And Budapest has an amazing history for the Jewish community. The synagogue, you can kind of see a little bit of the inside. It is just a beautiful piece of architecture. And there is a Wallenberg Memorial Park and a Tree of Life Memorial behind the synagogue. Raoul Wallenberg was a Swedish diplomat in Hungary during the World War II, and he saved thousands of people's lives by creating documents and getting them out. So that's a very beautiful thing. And then there's a memorial park behind that actually the actor Tony Curtis, who's of Hungarian descent, had donated to remember all the people that perished during the Holocaust. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful and meaningful morning. And then we'll go back to the ship, have a lovely lunch, and we're back to opera program number 2, bringing the space to life. So Ben, tell us about that.
Sure. Well, now that we've explored the score, the next part is to bring it into a setting. And I just love all the paprika things. I'm imagining developing exercises of singers improvising a little opera about paprika. But we're going to take our work now the next step forward so that you can all see how opera is made. And for this, we enter the space of opera. And I'm going to invite on Sherry and Jean to talk about this too.
It's like if you had the cartoon, it has to come off that page. You know, it's like taking a good book and you want to see it brought to life in a movie, perhaps. This is what we do. We have to take it off that page that Mark now has made them learn that page of music. Now it has to come off that page and become something in life and something in space. Are you in that synagogue? Perhaps La Juive would be set in a synagogue, or are you in the Countess's boudoir at the top of Act 2 in Nozze di Figaro? In other words, what kind of a space are you in? Also, how many people are in that room? So how much space do you have within the space that you're in? So there's all kinds of spaces that one can discuss, right, Jean?
Absolutely. And one of the things that makes this cruise very different than any other, this adventure, very different than any others, is not that you're just going to be observing people singing. You too will have the opportunity to have voice lessons with Sherry Greenwald, and I'll be there to accompany you. You don't have to take lessons, but if you'd like to, you may do that. You can also, Ben will talk about singing in the chorus, or if you don't want to sing in the chorus, you can do other things and be a part of the production.
Absolutely. So, yes, we've all been around opera for collectively probably 200 years, and we know how often audiences really want to sing. They want to get up there. So we're going to provide the opportunities in one of the numbers for any of the guests who want to sing to actually be in the chorus. And we don't care if somebody told you you can't sing, you can sing. And you're going to absolutely be invited to and welcome to singing. If you don't want to sing, there's something in opera called a supernumerary. And those are the people who fill out the stage. They're not singing, but they're toasting. You can be a super. So, or you can be audience. We value, we treasure the participatory aspect of this opera experience that we're going to have all together. So that's the second part of our program. We'll get to the third after Sandy picks up the itinerary.
All right, so we've had our wonderful afternoon, and you'll have a fabulous dinner on board. And let's see what happens the next day. We will be in Bratislava in Slovakia. And Bratislava was known as the coronation city of kings. 11 crownings of Hungarian kings and queens from the 1500s to the 1800s. So it was really a very, very important thing. But let's say, you're not into doing that. You've had enough tourings of some of the buildings. We'll do a taste of Slovakia. That's another option that you would have. So you get to go around and taste bratwurst and beers that are Slovakia is famous for. So that's our little foodie tour. But let's say you've been eating a lot and enjoying the wines and the delicious food on board. We also will have a bike tour. So for those of you that want a little bit more activity, we have bikes on boards, and we also have bike tours available. So there's lots and lots of options to do for everyone and anyone, no matter what you enjoy doing. So that'll be our morning. We'll come back to the ship and have lunch. And then we're going to sail through Austria's most beautiful Wachau Valley to Milk. Wachau Valley is a very famous wine growing region in Austria, and the scenery is just spectacular. Okay, we're going to arrive in Milk that evening, and the next morning we're going to see the Abbey, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is, I mean, you can just see from the photo what an amazing building it is. And in the 1700s, Maria Theresa, who was the queen of the Habsburg Empire, would come to the Abbey for a few months at a time with 300 of her entourage. So it's her servants and her people and her horses and her this and her that. And you can see the side along the side of the building. She would be in one whole, they take one whole wing of that. So you can imagine how, with the grandeur of it all. Now it's the most gorgeous museum and some of the most beautiful artifacts. Religious artifacts are there. I mean, they're just absolutely stunning. There's also a gorgeous chapel and a beautiful library. It really is a stunning, stunning building. And the little town of Milk is just charming. You can walk around there. Again, this is if you're into being more active and you want to take a bike, this is a gorgeous place to take a bike and ride around. So there'll be a lot to do. Come back to the ship for lunch, and then in the afternoon we have opera program number 3. So what's going to happen there?
Well, before I talk a little bit about opera program number 3, I'm just impressed by what the richness of this experience on board and on land. It's just so rich in every single way, of culturally, musically, every way. So on opera program number 3, we go the next step. We've taken the score, we've gone into the whole space. Now we have to embody the characters that we're playing. So you will see us work with the singers as they become the Countess, Maria Theresa in that enormous place, as they become a beggar, as they become a king, as they become a ghost. You will watch us take singers into that process of character. And then the next part is actually how they relate to each other. This is really where opera really comes alive. Often all of us know who have worked with singers that when two singers are singing together, sometimes you have this phenomenon of you're singing to somebody, but their eyes are glazed over and they're just waiting to sing. Not with us. They are so engaged and so involved that that's what sparks the duet. That's what sparks opera. So you'll see us work with singers to really bring all of that alive in this third program. And then we sail on.
Okay. So we've had that wonderful program that afternoon. We've again had another fabulous dinner on board. And the next day, this is going to be just a really special day. We're going to go and spend the day in Salzburg in Austria. Mozart, where Mozart was born. I mean, the city is just fabulous. It's charming. It's on a river. It's very walkable. We're going to just walk through this and see where Mozart lived. And then there's it's a museum, his birth house. It's just totally, totally charming day. And then we're working on a very special afternoon surprise, which I can't share with you right now. But if we can make this happen, it's truly going to be a very, very special thing that I don't know that anyone who's ever been on an itinerary like this on the Danube will have ever gotten to do this. This is very unique and special. So just for us. Then we will sail the next morning. It's again, the scenery is so gorgeous. So we're going to sail from Linz to Vienna when you'll have lunch on board. And then we arrive in the fabulous city of Vienna and you'll have an afternoon tour. We're going to get to see the opera house, which again is just stunning and beautiful. And like I said before, the Budapest Opera House, the Hungarian State Opera, is a miniature version. There's a story that Franz Joseph, who was the great-great-grandson of Maria Theresa, his wife Sissy, was having an affair with some general or something in Budapest and got Franz Joseph to agree to build an opera house there. But he said, it can't be bigger than the one I have in Vienna. And so they said, okay, but they made it much more opulent and gorgeous inside. And when Franz Joseph went to the opening, he was totally furious. So there's a lot of mythology and stories about Vienna and Budapest and the Opera House and the Habsburgs and Sissi and all this other kind of stuff. So you're going to get to hear a lot of this rumors and stuff that went on. But anyway, Vienna is a beautiful city. You will see the Viennese Opera House. We will go to the Schönberg Palace. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and you'll see the city center, which is beautiful. They have the Spanish stables, the riding stables. You get to peek at the horses. They're stunning. And St. Stephen's Cathedral. So that's an optional tour. Or maybe, again, you're the person who needs that energy and's got to get out and wants to ride your bike. Vienna is a very flat city. So it is a great place for take a bike and tour. So you can do that. Or, you know, you've seen enough buildings. You're not feeling like you want to bike around anytime, but you want to enjoy Viennese coffee and a Sachertorte. So we have an opportunity to do that and taste what Vienna is really known for and experience the coffee cafe life of Vienna. So that will be our afternoon and come back, and then you'll have dinner, and after dinner, the performance. Tell us about that.
Well, this is where this is what we all live for, actually, which is how everything is comes together. And I want to invite my colleagues back, and each one of us will say something about what we just love about the performance. I'll kick it off by saying it's such a joy to see everything come together. We worked on the score, we've worked on the space, we worked on the character, we worked on relation. Then you see it all come together. And when I worked at the Juilliard School, the director that I worked for, Giancarlo Minotti, said, it's like baking a cake. You put all the ingredients and then you put it in the oven. And the performance is when you open the oven. So, Sherry, what about opening the oven?
It's sort of scary sometimes. It can fall flat. I've had some oven openings that fell a little bit flat. However, it's that excitement. Always you have that little adrenaline, you know, performers get that adrenaline rush before you go on stage. And I think that's what we call stage fright. I think some people interpret that sort of pulse in your throat as stage fright, but I always interpreted that as, let's go. Horses are in the you know, in the gate. Let's get it up. Let's get that thing open and go. That's what I always thought.
Absolutely. Mark, what about you? What do you love about the night of the performance?
Well, I was just going to say about Sherry's the throbbing in her throat. I hope that's not the vibrato. But
well, I hope it is a little vibrato.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. No, what Ben said about, you said the word baking a cake. I mean, that's the fantastic thing about the performance. It's the synthesis of all these things, of all these elements that come together. It's what opera creation is really about, taking all these elements and putting them together. The only ingredient that you can't provide is an audience. And so that's why that's the final element that you need to have. And you never really know what you can do in performance until you're sitting there with an audience in front of you, with the nerves going on and that feeling in your throat. And suddenly you go, I couldn't possibly sing that phrase that long. I could not, like, this is what I have to do. But you have to make it up on the spot and figure out what exactly you're going to do. And sometimes things, as Sherry says, fall flat. And sometimes that's the miracle. Being in front of the people is the miracle. So it is the most exciting moment, I think, when we finally get to put it on before the audience and see how those performers rise to the occasion.
I'm sure we all agree. Jean, what about for you? I mean, you've had so many openings in your career.
Yes, I mean, all that they said, but my favorite part is the process itself and watching it come together and seeing the young artists grow and become better musicians and build a camaraderie between them. And I just wanted to mention that we are going to have Merrill alums on this cruise that are going to be singing, and we're very excited to have them, and I'm excited to be with them again, because that's the joy in life, is seeing these young artists grow and really become spectacular young performers, and also see where their career goes. So you'll see a part of that on this adventure.
And I'd like to say the audience is a part of the performance.
Oh, totally.
Because you feel an audience, you feel the energy in the space. You're part of the space, you're part of our space, and we feel your energy, and you become a part of that, sort of that miracle that can happen in a performance.
Well, you know, this is really what we want to bring home about the uniqueness of this travel experience. You're going to be experiencing all of it from the get-go, from behind the scenes, what it's like to just start out all the way to the performance. You'll be, you know, behind the scenes, you'll be in front of the scenes, you'll be on the scene. It's going to be the most extraordinary opportunity to really, really enjoy opera in this fabulous itinerary. And what could be better than doing a performance in Vienna? I mean, I just had a trip to Vienna last year, and it's just a spectacular city. So it all culminates in that. So, Sandy, please, you know, tell us what else we can offer.
Okay. We're still going to be in Vienna. And also take a look at the photo. You can see how flat Vienna is. So for those of you that do want to take a bike and ride around, you can see it's really very simple and very lovely. For those of you who want to do, we're going to do a tour in the morning in the footsteps of Mozart, Beethoven, and Schubert. And then we're going to go and have a tour of the Vienna Opera House, like we had a tour of the Budapest Opera House. And it's the world's largest repertory operation. It's just an amazing, I think there's a performance almost every day of the year, which is very, very unusual. It may not always be opera, it could be ballet, it could be a concert. I have clients going in May and they're going to see the Philharmonic when they're there. So there's always something happening at the Vienna Opera House. The afternoon, you'll be on your own. You can go wander around, see what you want to see, maybe do a little shopping, pick up some souvenirs. I hate to say that maybe think about starting to pack because we're coming to the end of this amazing adventure. But we will have a wonderful dinner on board at night because we will have the captain's dinner the very last night. So we get to say goodbye to the crew and the staff. But then some of you may be opting for the extension, which means that you'll stay one more night on the ship. One more night in Vienna. And then we will go to a performance at this fabulous opera house. So for those of you that will be leaving, it'll be flights home on that last day, safe travels. But for those of you that are going to stay with us, we're going to stay overnight in Vienna. And that night, we're going to see a performing in this magnificent building. So it's all very, very exciting. So I'm going to go through and show you, we've talked about the Gresham Palace in Budapest and the ship and this and that. So I want to show you some of the accommodations and some of the other things that you will experience. So let's go back to the Four Seasons Gresham Palace. You can see on the left what a stunning building it is. It's just really gorgeous. And on the right is, you know, a typical room that you'll be in. And you can see it's contemporary and elegant and understated, but very beautiful. So this will be your home for a couple of nights in Budapest. And then we're going to sail on the beautiful AmaViola. And for those of you who may or may not know Waterways, this is a little introduction. I mean, they are my favorite river cruise company and they just do an amazing job. So here's a little feel for what Ama is like.
We grew up on the rivers in Europe. Rudi, our president, was born in Vienna on the Danube River, and I was born in Dresden on the Elbe River. And we couldn't be more excited to come back to the rivers to show our European heritage. I'm Christine Karst, co-founder and co-owner of Ama Waterways. Our ships are very intimate and accommodate an average of about 150 guests on board. Yet we offer the luxury of space. We offer twin balcony staterooms, that's our signature. One outside balcony and our French balcony to really give our guests a very, very comfortable stateroom. And once the ship starts sailing, it's calm waters all the way. You can see so much when you step on board from grand capitals of Europe, quaint villages. We are going through multiple countries and you physically double your leisure time. We take care of everything. Food and wine is extremely important for us. We are very proud of our multiple dining venue, from our main restaurant to our chef's table, where we serve a very special tasting menu, to some dining venues on our sun deck. Best of all, our sommeliers have hand-selected the finest local wines that we include with our compliments for lunch and dinner, as well as served during our complimentary sip and sail hour. Personalization is so important for our guests, and we are very proud to include in every port multiple shore excursions. This could be gentle walking tours, active hiking and biking tours, tours for our late risers, and special theme tours. I'm personally very passionate about wellness. We offer daily wellness activities starting with core and stretching in the morning, yoga on the sun deck, spinning with a view, to dance classes. The best part of our river cruise experience, and why so many guests are returning year after year, is our crew. They are so passionate, so warm-hearted. Our crew and cruise managers always go above and beyond to make sure you have a most magical and memorable river cruise experience. We look forward to welcoming you on board our ships very soon.
Okay, so you got a feeling about how fabulous it is to be with Ama. I mean, they just make you feel at home and important and wonderful. I mean, every time I go back, I feel like I'm visiting family again. So when you're thinking about what kind of accommodation you might like on the ship, I thought I'd go through these photos so you could kind of understand. So in the upper left-hand corner, that is what we call a window. And you can see that you just have these two little windows. That's a smaller room. It's wonderful for a single person or a very cozy couple. To the left of that, to the right of that, is what we call the French balcony. And you can see that it's floor to ceiling, and these are sliding glass doors, but you step out, they call it a balcony, but it's only 6 inches. So you do have a full view. You can slide the doors open, you can lean out and take a photo or do whatever. You just can't sit out there. In the lower left-hand corner is, Christine mentioned that, the twin balcony. And if you can see next to the bed, it kind of is a little bit closer. That's kind of where you go to the outside. And then you see just a little bit to the right of that, the chair and the couch. That's the interior balcony. The other one is outside. You have 2 chairs and a table. So if you wanted to sit outside, so they call it twin balcony. One's outside, one's inside. So, and given the weather might be in November, maybe you might not want to sit out, or you want to sit out with a hot chocolate or a mulled wine and enjoy the view going by. It's a little hard to show you the suites, but if you look at the lower right-hand corner, kind of imagine that attached to the picture on the lower left-hand corner, because you get that extra seating area in a suite. So these are the different room categories that you have that you can choose from. And I want to, we talked about how the Singers Gym and Marilla does a lot to promote young singers. And this is a fundraising trip. We are looking to support both the Singers Gym and Marilla, and asking for people who go on to make these donations to both organizations. These are both 501(c) charitable organizations. So when you make your donation, it's a straight IRS transaction. So you'll get the complete write-off for your donation to the project. So we're very appreciative of the support that they do for these young singers, and how important the arts are to all of us and to the quality of life, and these young singers are working hard, so we really ask for your support. And guess what? We've got a leap year. So you have extra time this year, and we're going to offer you a little extra money. So if you sign up and book your cruise by February 29th, we will give you a gift of a reduction of $250 per person towards your cabin. And there should be in the chat a link for to sign up, to get to the page to sign up. And I just kind of, before we go into some questions, I'm just going to put this up here again, and any of you need to reach out to me. I can answer any of the questions that you have. It's very easy email address, info@wemaketraveleasy.com, and my website is wemaketraveleasy.com. So it's easy to find me, and I think I'm going to stop the screen and maybe we'll have a little time for some questions.
Thank you, Sandy. Before we do that, yes, please, everyone who's watching, if you have any questions, we already see people are entering them into the chat. We welcome all your questions. I will start from what Sandy just said. If you any questions about this trip, Sandy knows it upside down, inside out, backwards and forwards, can answer any question that you have, because it's so important for all that you all feel comfortable that this is a trip for you. About that, what we're finding is that on this kind of experience, the best thing is when you can also bring your friends along, so that it can be really what we want to create is a 9-day opera party. And the more people know each other, the more they can get together. So if you're interested in this, start to corral your friends also who might be interested, because it makes it into an opera party. Sandy, can you say something about the chef's table, because it was mentioned?
Oh yeah, Christine mentioned it. This is one of my most favorite things. There is a separate dining room on the ship, and it holds about 30 people. And it's a chef's tasting menu, and the chef is there, and it's a glass thing, and you know, it's a set menu, and everyone gets an opportunity to do that one night on the ship. And it's really so lovely. And it's it's just like when you go to a Michelin star restaurant where you have a set menu and you have wine pairings for every course. So it's a lovely experience. You get to, it's not formal, but you can dress up a little nicer and just have a lovely evening out. And you don't have to drive, and you don't have to worry if your room is down the hall, and it's just a fabulous experience.
Well, especially if you come on with a group of your own pals, this is a wonderful chance for you all to just get together and enjoy a wonderful evening. So,
and there'll be opportunities at these tables to sit with Sherry and Mark and Ben and Jean. So again, you can break bread with the VIPs on board. Where do you have access like that? And the singers too.
absolutely. And if you haven't gotten it already, we love to talk. So we just so enjoy what we do. We love what we do. And we just want everybody to have the kind of experience that we have in working. So Sandy, we can go over to the questions. Is that?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Okay. So top question we had at the beginning, what kind of weather can we expect? Sandy,
well, for those of you that are in San Francisco, I would say it's going to be very much like San Francisco weather. It's probably going to be in the, again, we don't know with global warming, but typically what it'll be in the, high 50s, low 60s in the daytime and colder at night. But most of the time at night, you're going to be, either at the hotel or you're going to be on the ship, and you're not going to be out and about that much and where it's really cold. But just layers. That's always a good thing. Take a sweater, take a this, take a that. I like to bring long johns on and throw them underneath my jeans, so in case it's a little colder outside, I'm set. So it should be very fine. Throw a scarf in, throw a pair of gloves if you're like me and always cold. Puffer jackets, I mean, that's like fabulous. They take up no space. And you can put a jacket in with a vest and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. So here's a question, Jean, I'm going to direct it to you. Who will the singers be that are on board?
Well, they're going to be Maryla alums, and let me tell you, a couple of them have already heard about and have volunteered to come and join us. They're spectacular singers. So we're going to have some really, really great young artists. We hope to have a quartet: soprano, mezzo, baritone, and tenor. So we will start working on that soon. Like I said, we have a couple of them who are ready to go right now. So
Just to underscore something, Jean, that you said earlier, AmaViola is probably the foremost young artist program in the world. It's highly competitive. Auditions are held all over the world for singers. I think it's like 25 or 28 singers who come for a 12-week program in the summer. So these are the creme de la creme. These are the most wonderful, young, vital, exciting singers, people who you will see on the stage of major opera houses in the future. And the history of AmaViola is so extraordinary. Okay, next question. Sandy, what if I have food allergies or food restrictions?
Well, then you have come to the right place, because we are very sensitive, both at the hotel and on board the ship. I mean, when you do your check-in for the ship, before you go, you put in any allergies, any things you don't like, whatever, and they are very careful about that. And also your waiters will also know. But I mean, I have a client friend who is severe gluten. I mean, this isn't just the fad. She is a severe allergy. She was blown away by, not only was everything delicious, it was served exactly like everyone else's stuff. So it didn't look like she had a white plate with steamed veggies on it. I mean, she had a gorgeous dish with everything on it, and it was great. And if you have lactose or, whatever kind of food allergy you might have, or you just preferences. I mean, personally, I'm not a red meat eater. I eat fish and chicken. I don't eat red meat. If you're vegan, it's available. Whatever you need in terms of your dietary, just let us know, and you will have no one that you're sitting with would even know that you're not eating something that's, has some sort of limitations or restrictions. Very, very fabulous, and it'll be delicious.
Absolutely. So here's a question, Sherry, I'm going to ask it of you. What kind of repertoire are you going to use for the voice lessons?
Well, I think we should have some American songbook handy, so if you like Gershwin or Harold Arlen, that'll be around for you to sing. Some Stephen Foster on hand, because probably everybody knows a Stephen Foster song. I Dream of Jeannie, or I Always Dream of Jeannie. I loved the Jeannie. What was the name of that show? I Dream of Jeannie. I like that. Anyway, so those kinds of things. I don't know, Jean, should we bring along just the early Italian songs or whatever?
Yeah, the top 20 Italian hits. Yeah.
Italian hits, something like that. We'll have all that on hand so that whatever you might know, we probably will have it.
Well, wait a minute. What if I want to sing Misty? Should I just bring the music with me?
Sure.
Well, if you have music that Jean can play it. She'll know it. And I know stuff. I know all kinds of stuff. Trust me, I know all kinds of stuff. I was at an Audra McDonald show last night, and I must say there was a couple of things she did that I didn't know, but I knew everything else. So it was like, I know my stuff.
I love all your Lenny Bernstein stories, Sherry.
I got a few of those.
That's what we can all share at dinner, all our stories.
Exactly. We've got lots of great stories to tell.
Okay, Sandy, how dressy is it on the ship?
It's casual. I mean, during the day, I would say jeans or, wear comfortable walking shoes, that's all fine. For dinner, think about like you're just going to a nice restaurant, I mean, obviously the weather won't be where people would be wearing flip-flops to dinner, but, the gentleman should wear closed-toed shoes, and you can wear khakis and a collared shirt. I mean, the way Ben is dressed and the way Mark is dressed, you can do without a jacket. I mean, a lot of guys bring a jacket just for warmth, not because it's required. No ties, I mean, if you want to wear a tie, it's fine. And for the women, I would say, slacks and a nice sweater, or if you're someone who enjoys a dress or a skirt or something, you can do that. Maybe for the night of the performance, or for the last night, or the chef's table, maybe you want to be a little special, so put on a nice scarf or a little jewelry, or take a fancy top and throw that in, or just comfortable. It's a very comfortable environment, and you'll feel just great.
That's wonderful. Now, there is a question about people who may have what I guess are called accessibility issues. In other words, they may have some compromises in terms of movement or getting around. How is that addressed?
The ship is very mobility friendly. There is an elevator to go between the floors. And then, they're just the corridors. So it's really, I have a client who needs to use one of those scooters. I mean, he goes from wheelchair to scooter. I mean, he can barely walk, and he goes on all the time. He takes his own scooter with him. There is 1 or 2 scooters available to rent on board. There's also a wheelchair available on board. If you use a rollator, those are not available. You have to bring your own. But other than that, and then when we do the excursions, what's really great is it's split up into 3 groups. I mean, so what happens is you have the active walkers. So those are the people who really got the energy and they're ready to run around and walk quick, and they'll go together as a group. Then we have the average people, or people like me who like to take 20 million photographs. So I'm always behind because I'm taking photos. And then we have the people who are slower walkers. So you still get to see everything. You'll just do it at a slower pace. And maybe you'll, instead of walking all the way down the street to see that building, you might stand at the corner and look at it or something, but you will see everything. And, but we are in Europe and there are cobblestone streets. So there may be some times when some people who need some sort of mobility instrument, a wheelchair or something. But, other than that, it's and on the ship, it's really accommodating. And if it's something that, is a day that you're not feeling, everybody hits the wall jet lag. It's 3 or 4 days into it. The front of the ship has a 270-degree glass view of the environment. So if you're just having a slow day and you don't want to go on an excursion, you want to sleep in, have a late breakfast, read a book, hang out, book a massage, you can do that. Or, that the rivers were the highways of Europe. So these ships go into little towns everywhere. Maybe you just want to walk off the ship on your own and explore on your own, or you want to grab a bicycle and do your own thing. It's a very relaxed, and there's lots of ways for people with all kinds of mobility issues or talents or whatever to do whatever they want.
It sounds so dreamy is what it sounds like. Mark, here's a question for you. I only speak English. How will I understand opera pieces in different languages?
Well, I think that's actually one of the great bonuses of this travel experience, is that you will have actually been in the room when we're working on the material. So it's a chance to actually get closer to these foreign language pieces. There probably will be pieces in English that we wind up presenting as well. There could be some French, some Italian, some German, but probably some English too. But you'll have the chance to hear these words being discussed in great detail. So that I think actually it's one of the, probably more than going to an opera where you might see the super titles or the surtitles. You'll actually be closer to the text as someone who's witnessed all this preparation and all this the working out of the material than maybe you might even be when you go to the opera. So I think this is a chance to understand the languages more than you might by going to the opera on a regular basis.
Let me just jump in on that for the foreign language, because when we are going to 2 performances, I can't say for sure in Vienna, but I'm sure it's the same. In Budapest at the Opera House, the super titles are in Hungarian and English.
The same
so
in Vienna.
You will be able to, and I'm sure they do the same thing in Vienna.
Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood. I was thinking about our presentation.
No, that's what they asked. But since someone asked about understanding, I wanted people to feel that just because they're in Hungary or they're in Austria, that they're not going to be able to, have the super titles like we usually do. But just so you know, they will have them in 2 languages.
Yeah, pick a number to see which language you want to have your super titles in, your surtitles.
Sherry, what were you going to say, Sherry?
Oh, well, never. Well, in Paris, they had them in like 4 languages. Reading, which one am I reading again? It was like crazy in Paris times.
But I just want to say something about this too, which is part of what we're doing and showing you how opera is made. You'll see the difference between a singer knowing what she's saying and actually speaking it and singing it is quite different. In other words, it's not like I know what I'm singing, it's like I'm really making it happen now. So actually, I think what Mark said was great, which is if you don't know the language, you're actually going to learn a lot about that language coming to life through the song, through the words, through the music. So I have one more question here. Oh, 2 more questions, and both of them look like they're for you, Sandy. What about airfare?
Well, that is optional for people to choose how they want to do it. A lot of people have miles and they prefer to use their own miles for air. We can book through, AMA has a lot of great airfares. So we can book those through AMA, or I have an air person who can book air. So there's lots of ways. So you can either do it on your own, you can use your miles. If you want us to assist you with air, we can do that. And
Great.
we can do economy, premium economy, business.
I bet we could even rent a jet for somebody if they wanted to have one. Okay, what about this last question, Sandy? I think this is for you too. What if I want to extend my time and arrive earlier or stay later?
We can easily accommodate that. If you wanted to arrive in Budapest a few days earlier, it's a beautiful thing. You could also go into the countryside and see more of Hungary if you wanted to do that. So we can arrange that. And the same thing. I mean, there is the option to stay an extra night and see a performance in Vienna. But if you want to stay a few more days, we can arrange that as well.
Great. So I think we're coming to a close here. I wanted to encourage everyone, if you have any questions whatsoever, please direct them to Sandy, operalovers@wemaketraveleasy.com. We put it in the chat for you. No question is too small. No question is unimportant. Really, this is an experience for you to absolutely have something that's completely unique, novel, and something that you should absolutely enjoy on every level. There's also a registration link in the chat as well, and where you can find out more about this. But do take advantage of this leap year offer. It only comes every 4 years. So like, let's jump into it.
Really.
Leap into it.
Yeah,
Leap
leap into it.
We would love to see you all. This is,
Yeah.
we want this to be
Come party with us. It's going to be a
9-day
great
opera
party. It's going to be a great party.
absolutely
Good food and
memorable.
good wine and good people. I mean, it's going to be once in a lifetime.
Fabulous music and people who are really committed to the art of opera, making it really come alive, and you'll be part of that. So please encourage your friends, bring them all on board. We're really looking forward to 9 days that are going to be completely unforgettable. So thank you all for coming. My colleagues, Mark, Sherry, Jean, and Sandy, all of the time, effort, work, experience, years of experience you put into making this so rich. That's the best word I can think of at the moment. Such a complete immersion in travel, in luxury, in the senses, in music, the whole shebang. So thank you all. And thank you all for coming. There will be a recording of this, which you will all receive or you'll be able to access. And if you have friends who have not attended, you can send them the link to the recording so that they can experience this as well.
And if they sign up by the 29th, we'll honor the discount for them as well.
That's right. So leap over to your friends and get them to also sign up. Thank you, everybody, for coming.